Jack Harper stood tall in his blue uniform as the door to the alien ship opened. His heart beat fast, but his face stayed calm. He was the first human to step inside a ship from another world. The walls around him glowed with soft blue light. They looked like crystal, smooth and clear but strong. "Keep your cool, Harper," he told himself. "The whole world is watching." Behind him, 5 other humans waited. They were scientists and soldiers, picked to meet the aliens who had come to Earth without warning 3 days ago. The ship had appeared above New York City like a giant diamond in the sky. It sent no messages, it made no threats. It just waited. After 2 days, it sent one message. "Send your leader." Earth did not have one leader, so they sent Jack instead. He was not the president or a king. He was a soldier who knew how to talk to strangers, how to stay calm when things got weird. That was the best Earth could do on short notice. The crystal door slid closed behind Jack. He was alone now in a round room. The air felt thick, like it had more oxygen than Earth air. It made his head feel light. "Human," a voice said. Jack turned and saw her for the first time. She was tall, taller than him by at least a foot. Her skin was blue, not like paint, but a real living blue, like the sky on a clear day. Her eyes were large and silver with no white parts, just pools of liquid metal. She had no hair but a kind of crest that rose from her head, crystal-like and catching the light. She wore a tight suit that looked like it was made of the same crystal as the ship. "I am Commander Lyra of the Vathin," she said in perfect English. Her mouth moved strangely around the words like she was new to having lips. "You are the Earth leader?" Jack swallowed. "Lieutenant Commander Jack Harper of the United Earth Defense Force. I speak for Earth in this meeting." Lyra made a sound like bells ringing. It took Jack a moment to realize she was laughing. A soldier. "How typical of primitive worlds," she said. She began to walk around him in a circle, looking him up and down. "You all think force is the answer to everything." Jack stood still, trying not to feel like a bug under glass. "We come in peace. We hope to learn about your people and why you've come to our world." Lyra stopped in front of him. She was so close he could smell her, like ozone after lightning. She reached out one long 4-fingered hand and poked his chest. "Interesting material," she said, touching his uniform. "Not very protective, is it?" Jack didn't answer. He was told to be polite no matter what. Lyra kept touching his uniform, then moved to his face. Her finger felt cool and left a tiny electric shock wherever it touched. She poked his cheek, his forehead, his ear. "Your species has so many odd bumps and holes," she said, poking his ear again. "What is this for?" "That's my ear," Jack said, trying to lean away without being rude. "It's for hearing." "Primitive," Lyra said. "We hear through our skin." She poked his nose. "And this?" "For smelling." "Please, Commander, could we discuss why you've come to Earth?" Lyra ignored him. She poked his hair, pulling a strand. "Dead protein strands growing from your head. Disgusting and fascinating at once." Jack took a deep breath. On the space station where he trained, he had learned patience. Some days he had to float in a tiny room for 16 hours straight. He could handle being poked by an alien. But then other aliens came into the room. 6 of them, all blue-skinned like Lyra, but shorter. They watched with their silver eyes as Lyra continued to poke and prod him. "The human does not respond to neural tactile communication," Lyra told them. "Most primitive." "Neural what?" Jack asked. "My touches should connect our minds," Lyra said, poking his forehead again. "Your species seems blocked. On my planet, the Vathin, we communicate through touch. Words are for children and animals." The other aliens moved closer. One reached out to touch Jack's arm. Then another touched his back. Soon all of them were poking him, their cool fingers leaving little shocks all over his body. "Please stop," Jack said, trying to step back, but there was nowhere to go. "The human has boundaries," Lyra said to the others. "It believes its body is separate from other bodies. How can a species that disconnected ever achieve true intelligence?" Jack thought about his orders. Admiral Samantha Woods had been very clear. Don't start a war, Harper. No matter what happens up there, keep your cool. A blue finger poked his eye, not hard, but enough to make him blink. These are filled with liquid, Lyra said. Primitive visual organs. Jack clenched his fists. The poking was getting worse. The aliens were treating him like a lab animal. On Earth, he said through gritted teeth, we ask before we touch someone. Asking with words? Lyra laughed that bell-like laugh again. Words lie. Touch tells truth. She reached toward his face again, her finger aimed right at his eye. Jack's hand shot up and grabbed her wrist. The room went silent. I said stop, Jack said quietly. Lyra's silver eyes widened. The other aliens stepped back. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Lyra smiled. Her teeth were white and pointed, like tiny crystals. The human shows spine, she said. Good. A spineless species is not worth talking to. But she tried to poke his face again with her other hand. Something in Jack snapped. All his training, all his orders, they flew out of his mind. Pure instinct took over. As her finger came, toward his eye again, Jack pulled her arm forward and bit down on her blue hand. The taste was strange, like metal and salt. A shock ran through his teeth into his jaw, almost making him let go. But he held on for a second, his teeth leaving marks on her blue skin. Then he released her and stepped back. The room went completely silent. The other aliens stared with their silver eyes wide. Lyra held her hand, looking at the teeth marks. They glowed slightly, like her blood was made of light. Jack's heart sank. He had just bitten an alien commander. He had probably started the first interstellar war. Earth was doomed because he couldn't handle being poked, but then Lyra did something strange. She bowed her head to him. The human has declared Keithal, she said, her voice different now, deeper, more formal. The bond is acknowledged. The other aliens also bowed their heads. Jack had no idea what was happening, but at least they had stopped poking him. What is Kethel? He asked. Lyra looked up, her silver eyes glowing brighter than before. You have claimed dominance through the sacred bite. Among the Vathene, this is how life bonds begin. She held up her hand where his teeth marks still glowed. You have marked me as your equal. This has never happened with an off-worlder before. Jack's mouth went dry. I just wanted you to stop poking me. And now I will, Lyra said. We have much to discuss, Jack Harper of Earth. It seems your species is more interesting than we thought. The bite changed everything. Jack stood in the crystal room watching as the other aliens backed away from him. Only Lyra stayed close. The bite marks on her blue hand still glowed with a soft light. What does this Kethal thing mean exactly? Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady. It is a life bond, Lyra said. Among my people, a bite is the most serious way to claim an equal place with another. It is used for mates, for battle allies, for life-joined partners. She touched the glowing marks on her hand. The fact that your bite left a glow means your body has elements that match with mine. Rare, even among Vathene. Jack's stomach dropped. Had he just accidentally married an alien? I didn't mean to start any kind of bond, he said. On Earth, biting someone is usually just a way to make them stop doing something. Lyra's head tilted. Interesting. Your instincts led you to our most sacred ritual without knowing. She stepped closer to him. The universe works in strange ways, Jack. Harper. Back on Earth, in a room deep under the ocean, Admiral Samantha Woods watched the video feed from Jack's uniform camera. Around her, 20 military leaders and scientists stared at screens in shock. Did Harper just bite the alien? General Porter asked, his face red with anger. He did, Woods said quietly, and they seem to think it's some kind of proposal. Kate Miller, the team's language expert, was typing furiously on her tablet. From what little we know of their language, Keithal seems to be a bonding ritual. It's used in their oldest stories about how their people first formed groups. So Harper just married the alien commander? Someone asked. Not exactly, Miller said. It's more complex, more like he challenged her and she accepted the challenge. It seems to be about proving they're equals. Woods rubbed her temples. Perfect. First contact with aliens and we bit them. On the alien ship, Jack was being led down a crystal hallway by Lyra. The other aliens followed behind, keeping their distance. I need to tell my people what's happening, Jack said. They'll be worried. Of course, Lyra said, but first you must understand what the Kethal means for both our worlds. She stopped at a large door that slid open at her touch. This is the view room. Inside was a round chamber with walls that seemed to disappear. Jack could see space all around him, the stars sharp and clear without Earth's atmosphere in the way. Below, the blue curve of Earth filled half the view. Your world is beautiful, Lyra said, but it is also in danger. Jack turned to her. Danger? From what? From you? Lyra shook her head. Not from the Vathine. We came to observe to decide if your world was worth saving. Saving from what? The Mrazak, Lyra said, and her voice had a hard edge now. They follow behind us, always. They take worlds we reject, strip them bare of life and resources. Jack's training kicked in. This could be a trick, a way to scare Earth into doing whatever the Vathine wanted. And how do we know these Mrazak are real? Or that they're coming? Here? Lyra touched a crystal panel on the wall. The view changed, showing a different part of space. There, in the darkness, were shapes like black knives cutting through the stars. They are already at the edge of your solar system, Lyra said. They have been watching Earth for decades, listening to your radio signals, learning your languages and weaknesses. Jack stared at the black ships. They looked nothing like the crystal beauty of the Vathine ship. They were dark, sharp, threatening. Why? Would you save us from them, he asked, before your bite? We might not have, Lyra admitted. My mission was to decide if humans were worth the trouble of saving. Many primitive species are not. They fight among themselves, destroy their own worlds, and never reach the stars on their own. She looked at the bite marks on her hand. But, now you have claimed me as your equal. That changes everything under Vathine law. One of the other aliens stepped forward. He was shorter than Lyra, with darker blue skin. Commander, the Kethal does not require us to protect his entire species. We could simply take this one human back to the homeworld as you're bonded. Jack tensed. He hadn't thought about the possibility of being taken away from Earth. But Lyra shook her head. No, Marin, the laws are clear. When a Kethal is formed with an off-worlder, their entire world comes under our protection, unless they reject the bond. She looked at Jack. Do you reject the bond, Jack Harper of Earth? Jack thought fast. If these Mrazak were real, Earth needed protection. If he rejected this bond, Earth might lose that protection, but accepting it might have consequences he couldn't predict. I need to talk to my leaders, he said. Lyra nodded. Of course. We will send you back to Earth with a communication device. You have 3 of your days to decide. If you accept the Kethal, Earth will come under Vathine protection. If you reject it, we will leave, and the Mrazak will come. Jack felt the weight of the decision pressing down on him. And if we accept, what does Earth owe the Vathine in return? Lyra's silver eyes seemed to look right through him. The Kethal is not a trade. It is a bond. What it will mean for our worlds will be decided over time as we learn about each other. She touched the bite marks again. But I warn you, the bond has already begun on a level beyond politics. I can feel your thoughts, your emotions at the edge of my mind. Jack blinked in surprise. You can read my mind? Not clearly, not yet, Lyra said. But the bite exchanged more than just a challenge. Our biology is compatible in unexpected ways. The glow shows that. 3 hours later, Jack was back on Earth, standing in the underwater base as military and science leaders fired questions at him from all sides. Did they threaten us? What do they want? Are these Mrazak things real? Did you really marry the alien? Admiral Woods finally raised her hand and the room went quiet. One at a time, she said. Harper, just tell us what happened after. The incident. Jack explained everything. The Kethal bond, the Mrazak ships, the 3-day deadline. As he spoke, he realized his head hurt, not just from stress, but from something else, something new. At the edges of his thoughts, he felt something cool and strange, like the touch of Lyra's fingers, but inside his mind. Kate Miller was the first to ask the important question. Do you believe them about these Mrazak? Jack hesitated. I saw the ships, they looked real, but more than that. He touched his temple. I can feel her in my head. Not words, just feelings, impressions. She's worried, not just about us, but about her own people. The Mrazak have attacked Vathine worlds before. General Porter scoffed. Mind reading? Really, Harper? I know how it sounds, Jack said. But the bite did something. Their biology is different from ours. Their blood has electrical properties. When I bit her, something passed between us. Dr. Olivia Bell, the team's medical expert, had been examining Jack since his return. His blood work shows unusual electrical activity, she said, and there's a new compound I've never seen before. It seems to be growing, spreading through his system. Is it dangerous? Woods asked. I don't know, Bell admitted, but it doesn't seem to be harming him. It's more like his body is adapting. Jack wasn't surprised. He could feel the changes inside him, subtle but real. The headache was fading, and in its place was a new awareness, like having an extra sense. We need to decide what to do about their offer, he said. The Mrazak are coming whether we believe in them or not. The Vathine are offering protection. At what cost? Porter demanded. They say there's no price now, but there always is. Woods looked at Jack closely. What do you think, Harper? You've met them. You've got this connection with their commander. Do you trust them? Jack thought about Lyra, about the mix of arrogance and curiosity in her silver eyes. I don't know if I trust them completely, he said honestly. But I believe they're telling the truth about the Mrazak, and I believe they'll protect us if we accept the bond. And what exactly does accepting this bond mean for you personally? Woods asked quietly. Jack met her eyes. I don't know that either, but I'm willing to find out if it means protecting Earth. 2 days later, a small crystal ship landed in the middle of the United Nations Plaza in New York. Lyra stepped out alone, wearing a new suit that seemed to shimmer with its own light. Thousands of people watched from behind barriers, millions more on screens around the world. Jack waited for her at the bottom of the ship's ramp. He wore his formal uniform, medals gleaming in the sunlight. The 3 days aren't up yet, he said as she approached. I felt your decision, Lyra replied, touching her still glowing hand. The bond grows stronger. Soon, words will not be needed between us. Jack nodded. He had felt it too, her presence in his mind growing clearer. Our leaders are ready to meet. With you. Lyra looked past him at the crowd of humans at the grand UN building. And are they ready to face what comes next? The Mrazak will not give up easily. We've faced threats before, Jack said. Not like this, Lyra said softly. But perhaps with your instincts and our technology, we have a chance. She held out her bitten hand. The Kethal makes us stronger together than apart. Jack took her hand. Where their skin touched, a soft glow appeared. The crowd gasped. I guess we're in this together now, Jack said. Lyra's silver eyes met his. Yes. For better or worse, as your people say. The Mrazak arrived exactly 1 week after Earth accepted the Vathine protection. Their ships appeared first as black dots against the stars, then grew into knife-shaped shadows that blocked out the light. There were 7 of them, each larger than the biggest aircraft carrier on Earth. In the command center beneath Geneva, Jack watched the screens with Admiral Woods and the world's top military leaders. The room was silent except for the soft beep of computers. Those ships are massive, Woods said quietly. Jack nodded. The Vathine said they strip entire planets. They need ships that big to carry away the resources. On another screen, Lyra stood on the bridge of her crystal ship. 5 more Vathine vessels had arrived to help protect Earth. They formed a barrier between the planet and the approaching Mrazak fleet. The connection between Jack and Lyra had grown stronger each day. He could feel her emotions clearly now. Her determination, her worry, and underneath it all, a surprising warmth when she thought of him. He wondered if she could feel his fear. "They're sending a message," said Kate Miller, who monitored all communications. "It's aimed at the Vathine ships, but we can pick it up." A harsh voice filled the room, speaking a language of clicks and hisses. The universal translator the Vathine had given Earth struggled to keep up. "Vathine vessels. You protect unworthy prey. The humans are claimed by Mrazak. Withdraw or be destroyed." Lyra's voice answered in the same clicking language, but the translator made her words clear. "Earth is under Vathine protection by right of Kethal. Withdraw, Mrazak." The Mrazak voice made a sound like breaking glass. It might have been laughter. "We do not recognize your Kethal with lesser beings. Last warning." The screens showed the black ships moving forward. The Vathine vessels glowed brighter, their crystal surfaces catching the sunlight. Jack felt a sharp pain in his head. Lyra was calling to him through their bond. "They will attack soon," her voice said in his mind. "The Mrazak never retreat once they've chosen a target." Jack closed his eyes, focusing on the connection between them. "What can Earth do to help?" "Your weapons are too primitive to harm their ships." Lyra's thoughts came back. "But there is something else. The Kethal bond between us is stronger than normal. It might be used." Before Jack could ask what she meant, the first Mrazak ship fired. A beam of dark energy shot toward Earth. It never reached the atmosphere. A Vathine ship moved into its path, its crystal surface absorbing the blast. The ship glowed red-hot but held. "They're protecting us," Wood said, watching the screens, "but they can't keep doing that forever." She was right. The Mrazak fired again and again. Each time, a Vathine ship blocked the blast, but Jack could see the crystal hulls starting to crack. In his mind, he felt Lyra's pain. The ships were connected to their commanders somehow. Each hit hurt her and the other Vathine. "I need to get up there," Jack said suddenly. Wood stared at him. "To the Vathine ship, are you crazy? We're in the middle of a battle." "The bond between me and Lyra can help somehow," Jack insisted. "I don't fully understand it, but I need to be with her." Dr. Bell, who had been monitoring Jack's condition, spoke up. "His blood chemistry has changed even more. The electrical activity has increased tenfold since the battle started." She looked at Woods. "Whatever is happening between them, it's getting stronger." Woods looked from the doctor to Jack, then at the screens showing the battle in space. The Vathine were fighting bravely, but they were outnumbered. 2 of their ships already showed major damage. "Fine," she said. "We have a small shuttle that can reach orbit. But Harper, if this is just some feeling you have—" "It's more than that," Jack said. "Trust me." An hour later, Jack's shuttle docked with Lyra's crystal ship. The battle was still raging. Through the shuttle windows, he could see flashes of energy as Vathine and Mrazak ships fired at each other. Earth hung below, blue and peaceful, unaware of how close it came to destruction. When the airlock opened, Lyra was waiting. Her blue skin was paler than before, and there were dark marks on her arms where the ship's damage was reflected on her body. "You shouldn't have come," she said, but Jack felt her relief through their bond. "It's too dangerous." "You said the Kethal bond could be used somehow," Jack reminded her. "I'm here to help." Lyra led him through the ship to the bridge. The crystal walls around them pulsed with light, sometimes dimming when the ship took a hit. Other Vathine crew members worked at crystal panels, their movements quick and worried. "Then why? Mrazak have called in more ships," Lyra said as they reached the bridge. "We cannot hold them off much longer." The bridge was a dome of clear crystal. Jack could see the battle all around them. 3 more black ships had joined the Mrazak fleet. The Vathine ships were in a tight circle now, their crystal surfaces cracked and smoking. "What can I do?" Jack asked. Lyra turned to him. "The Kethal bond allows sharing of strength of energy. Among Vathine, this is used in times of great need." She touched the bite mark on her hand, which still glowed faintly. "But with a human, It has never been tried. It could kill you. Jack looked out, at the battle, at Earth below. If it might save my world, I have to try. Lyra nodded. Then we must complete the bond. She held out her hand, the one with his bite mark. Bite again, and I will bite you. The exchange must be equal. Jack hesitated only a moment, then took her hand and bit down on the same spot as before. The taste of metal and electricity filled his mouth. Lyra gasped, then pulled his hand to her mouth and bit his wrist. Pain shot up Jack's arm, but it quickly changed to a strange warmth. Where Lyra's teeth broke his skin, blue light glowed. The light spread up his arm, following his veins. Now we join with the ship, Lyra said, her voice strained. She led him to a crystal pedestal in the center of the bridge. Place your hands here with mine. They put their hands on the crystal, their bitten wounds touching. The crystal began to glow with the same blue light that ran through Jack's veins. Open your mind fully to me, Lyra's voice said inside his head. Let the energy flow. Jack closed his eyes. He felt the walls he hadn't known were there fall away. Suddenly, Lyra's mind was fully open to his, and his to hers. He saw her childhood on a world with 3 moons, saw her training as a ship commander, saw her first battles with the Mrazak, and she saw his life, growing up in a small town, joining the space program, his dreams of exploring the stars. They saw each other completely without secrets. The crystal under their hands grew brighter. The light spread through the ship, healing the cracks in its hull. Jack felt power flowing from him into Lyra, from Lyra into the ship, and strangely, from the ship back into him. It's working, Lyra whispered. Your energy is different from ours. The Mrazak cannot counter it. The ship's weapons fired, but instead of the usual Vathine energy beams, these were streaks of blue-white light. When they hit the nearest Mrazak ship, they cut through its black hull like it was paper. On the communication channel, the Mrazak voice spoke again, but now it held fear. What is this power? This is not Vathine technology, Lyra answered, her voice strong. It is the power of Cathal with Earth. Leave now or be destroyed. 2 more energy beams shot from the ship. 2 more Mrazak vessels were hit, their hulls breaking apart. The remaining Mrazak ships began to turn away. Slowly at first, then faster, they retreated back into deep space. Jack felt his knees give way. The blue light faded from his veins, and he would have fallen if Lyra hadn't caught him. You did well, she said, holding him up. For a human, you are surprisingly strong. Jack tried to smile, but he was too tired. The energy drain had left him weak. Does this mean they're gone for good? Lyra helped him to a crystal seat. No. The Mrazak never give up entirely, but they will think twice before attacking Earth again. She touched his face gently. And they will fear the Cathal bond between human and Vathine. Jack looked out at the stars, at the retreating shapes of the Mrazak ships. What happens now? Between our worlds, I mean. Now the real work begins, Lyra said. Our peoples must learn about each other, find ways to live together, to share knowledge. She touched the bite mark on her hand, then the matching one on his wrist. The Cathal has joined more than just us. It has joined our worlds. Back on Earth, Admiral Woods watched the battle end on her screens. The Mrazak ships retreating, the Vathine vessels glowing with new power. What just happened? She asked no one in particular. Dr. Bell was looking at data from Jack's medical monitors, which he still wore. Harper's vital signs went crazy for a few minutes. Electrical activity off the charts. Then he stabilized, but at a different baseline than before. Different how? Woods asked. Bell looked up, her face serious. His readings are more like Lyra's now. Not completely, but he's changed. She hesitated. I don't think he's fully human anymore, Admiral. Woods looked back at the screen, showing Earth from space. If his changes helped save the planet, I'm not going to complain. She stood up. Send a message to the Vathine ship. Tell them we want Harper and Lyra to come down to Earth. It's time we learned more about our new allies. In the weeks that followed, the world changed. Vathine ships became a common sight in Earth's skies. Their crystal technology was shared, slowly and carefully, with human scientists. Clean energy, new medicines, better ways to grow food, all came from the Alliance. 6 months after the first Mrazak attack, Earth had changed. Crystal towers now stood in major cities, where Vathine teachers shared knowledge with eager humans. The night sky glowed with the lights of orbiting Vathine ships, keeping watch for the enemy's return. Jack woke with a start in his apartment in New York. The bite mark on his wrist was burning, pulsing with blue light. Through the Kethal bond, he felt Lyra's alarm. "They're back," her voice said in his mind. Jack was already pulling on clothes, reaching for the crystal communicator the Vathine had given him. "How many ships?" he asked, not needing to speak aloud, for Lyra to hear him. 23, came her reply, more than before, much more. Fear gripped Jack's chest. The Vathine fleet protecting Earth had grown too, but not enough to face so many Mrazak ships. Even with the power he and Lyra had found through their bond, they couldn't fight that many enemies at once. His phone rang. It was Admiral Woods. "Harper, are you seeing this?" she asked when he answered. "Our satellites just picked up the Mrazak fleet. They're past Mars already, moving fast." "I know," Jack said. "Lyra warned me. I'm heading to the command center now." Within an hour, Earth's leaders were gathered in the Geneva bunker. On the main screen, the Mrazak ships approached in a tight formation. They were different from before, their black hulls now covered with a crystal-like material that gleamed dully in the sunlight. "They've adapted," Lyra said. She stood beside Jack, her blue skin looking pale under the harsh lights. "They've studied our weapons from the last battle and shielded themselves." General Porter slammed his fist on the table. "So the crystal technology you shared with us is now useless?" "Not useless," Lyra said calmly, "but less effective. The Mrazak are quick learners. It is why they have survived so long." "What about the Kethal power?" Woods asked, looking at Jack and Lyra. "Can you do what you did last time?" Jack and Lyra exchanged glances. Through their bond, they shared the same thought. It might not be enough. "We can try," Jack said, "but we'll need help." Dr. Olivia Bell, who had been studying the Kethal bond for months, spoke up. "The bond between Jack and Lyra is unique, but we've seen similar if weaker connections forming between other humans and Vathine who work closely together. None have completed the Kethal ritual," Lyra pointed out. "Without the exchange of bites, the energy cannot flow fully." A silence fell over the room. Everyone knew what she was suggesting. "You want more humans to form these bonds with your people?" Woods asked slowly. "If we had 10 pairs or 20, all channeling energy to our ships?" Lyra left the thought unfinished. General Porter stood up. "You're talking about turning more humans into whatever Harper is becoming." He gestured at Jack's eyes, which had begun to show flecks of silver like Lyra's, changing them permanently. "To save Earth?" Jack said quietly. "Yes." The debate raged for hours while the Mrazak ships drew closer. Some leaders refused to consider it. Others saw it as the only hope. In the end, a compromise was reached, volunteers only, and only after being fully informed of the risks. To everyone's surprise, there were many volunteers. Soldiers and scientists who had worked with the Vathine, who had formed friendships, and more. 20 pairs came forward, each human and Vathine already connected by shared work and trust. The ritual was held in a crystal dome built in the Swiss mountains. Jack and Lyra led the ceremony, showing each pair how to complete the Kethal bond. The room filled with soft blue light as bite marks glowed on wrists and hands. "Now we must reach the ships," Lyra said when it was done. "Each pair will join with a different vessel. Together we will create a network of power the Mrazak cannot break." Space shuttles carried the pairs to waiting Vathine ships. Jack and Lyra returned to her command vessel, which now served as the fleet flagship. As they prepared to leave Earth's atmosphere, Jack looked down at the blue planet below. "I'm scared," he admitted through their bond. "What if we fail?" Lyra's hand found his, their bite marks touching. "Then we fail together. But I do not think we will fail." The Vathine fleet met the Mrazak armada in the space between Earth and the Moon. 20 crystal ships against 23 black vessels. On paper it was an unfair fight, but each Vathine ship now carried a bonded pair, human and Vathine joined by Kethal. They have adapted, the Murazak voice announced over the communication channel. It does not matter. Earth will fall today. The black ships fired first, beams of dark energy shooting toward Earth. The Vathine vessels moved to block them, crystal hulls glowing as they absorbed the attacks. On each ship, the bonded pairs stood with hands joined on crystal pedestals. Energy flowed through the Kethal connections, strengthening the ship's shields, powering their weapons. Jack and Lyra stood on the bridge of the flagship, their minds fully open to each other. But this time they reached further, connecting to the other bonded pairs, creating a network of shared power. I can feel them all, Jack gasped. Every human, every Vathine. Yes, Lyra said, her voice strained. Now, let the energy flow. The Vathine ships began to glow brighter. Their crystal hulls pulsed with blue-white light. When they fired, their weapons cut through the Murazak's new shields like they weren't there. 3 Murazak ships exploded in the first volley. The others tried to regroup, to change their tactics, but the network of Kethal bonds was too strong. The humans and Vathine thought as one, moved as one, fought as one. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Woods watched in awe as the Vathine fleet moved with impossible coordination. It's like they're all part of a single organism, she said, quietly. Dr. Bell nodded, watching the data from the bonded pair's medical monitors. In a way they are. The Kethal network has linked them all. They're sharing thoughts, energy, even physical strength. On the flagship, Jack felt the strain of maintaining the network. Sweat poured down his face, and the blue light in his veins pulsed painfully. Beside him, Lyra was also struggling, her silver eyes glowing almost white with effort. We can't hold this much longer, Jack warned through the bond. We don't need to, Lyra replied. Look, the Murazak fleet was breaking apart. 7 ships already destroyed, the others turning to flee. The black vessels that had seemed so threatening were now running away. But one ship, larger than the others, was moving toward Earth instead of away. It had broken through the Vathine line and was heading straight for the planet. The Murazak command ship, Lyra said, her mental voice filled with alarm. If it reaches Earth, it can deploy ground forces. Jack made a quick decision. We have to follow it. Order the other ships to keep fighting the main fleet. We'll handle the command ship. The flagship broke away from the battle, racing after the Murazak vessel. Both ships entered Earth's atmosphere, their hulls glowing red-hot from the friction. They're heading for New York, Jack realized, seeing the path of the Murazak ship. They want to hit us where it hurts most. We cannot fire our main weapons so close to a human city, Lyra said. The damage would be too great. Jack thought quickly. Then we need to board them. Stop them from inside. Lyra stared at him. Board a Murazak ship? It has never been done. Then we'll be the first, Jack said. Through their bond, he felt her reluctant agreement. The flagship pulled alongside the Murazak vessel as both ships roared through the sky above the Atlantic Ocean. At Lyra's command, a crystal tube extended from their ship, burning through the black hull of the enemy vessel. Once we're inside, we need to find the control room, Lyra said as they prepared to enter the tube. Murazak ships are controlled by a central node. Jack checked the crystal weapon at his hip, a gift from the Vathine. Let's go. They moved through the crystal tube into the Murazak ship. Inside it was dark and cold. The walls looked organic, pulsing slightly as if alive. The air smelled wrong, like rotting metal. This way, Lyra said, following some sense Jack couldn't understand. The node is at the center. They encountered Murazak soldiers almost immediately. They were tall, thin creatures with gray skin that seemed to absorb light. Their eyes were black holes in narrowed faces. The fight was brutal but quick. Jack's strength, enhanced by the Kethal bond, matched Lyra's. Together, they cut through the Murazak forces, working in perfect sync through their mental connection. The Kethal makes us stronger together than apart, Lyra had once told him. Now Jack understood completely what she meant. He could anticipate her moves before she made them, just as she could his. They reached the central chamber of the ship. Inside was a pulsing black crystal, twice as tall as a human. Thin gray figures moved around it, touching its surface with long fingers. "The node," Lyra whispered. "We need to destroy it." But the Mrazak had seen them. A dozen soldiers moved to block their path, weapons raised. From a platform above the node, a larger Mrazak stepped forward. Unlike the others, this one had red lines running through its gray skin. "The Kethel pair," it said, its voice like grinding metal. "You have caused us much trouble. We're about to cause more," Jack said, raising his weapon. The lead Mrazak made a sound like breaking glass, their version of laughter. "Your weapons cannot harm the node. It is protected." Jack felt Lyra's thoughts racing. She was right. Their weapons wouldn't be enough, but there was another way. "The Kethel energy," she sent to him privately. "If we channel it directly, not through a ship, it could destroy the node," Jack finished. "But it might kill us too." 1 year after the second Mrazak attack, Jack stood on the balcony of the new Vathian embassy in Washington, D.C. The building was made of the same crystal as their ships, catching the morning light and breaking it into rainbow patterns on the ground below. His body had changed more than he had ever expected. Silver flecks now dominated his eyes, making them look like night skies filled with stars. Blue light flowed permanently in the veins of his hands and arms, visible just beneath his skin. He was stronger, faster, and could go days without sleep. But the biggest change was inside his mind. The Kethal bond with Lyra had grown so strong that their thoughts flowed back and forth like water. Even when she was on the other side of the world, he felt her presence, her emotions, her ideas. "Thinking about how different you are?" Lyra asked, stepping onto the balcony beside him. She wore a human-style suit, though made of crystal-infused fabric that shimmered as she moved. Jack smiled. Of course she knew what he was thinking. Hard not to, on days like today. Today was the anniversary of First Contact, now a global holiday. In cities around the world, humans and Vathian would celebrate the alliance that had saved Earth from the Mrazak. "You regret the changes?" Lyra asked, though she already knew the answer. "No," Jack said honestly. "But sometimes I wonder who I am now. Not fully human anymore, but not Vathian either." Lyra took his hand, their bite marks touching and glowing brighter. "You are Jack Harper, the first human to bite an arrogant alien who wouldn't stop poking him." Her bell-like laugh still made him smile. "And I am still Lyra, though changed, by you as well." It was true. Lyra had changed too. Her once cold silver eyes now showed emotions more clearly. She understood human jokes, human feelings. She even cried during sad movies, something unheard of among the Vathian before the Kethal bonds. "The Council is waiting," she reminded him. Jack nodded. The Joint Council of Earth and Vathian met today to discuss the next phase of their alliance. As the first bonded pair, Jack and Lyra held special positions as advisors. They walked through the crystal halls of the embassy, passing humans and Vathian working together at crystal computers. Some nodded respectfully as they passed. Others, those who disapproved of the Kethal bonds, looked away. Not everyone had accepted the changes of the past year. Some humans thought the alliance gave too much power to the aliens. Some, Vathian, believed bonding with humans weakened their species. Both sides had their doubters, their haters, but they were outnumbered by those who had seen the benefits. Vathian technology had helped clean Earth's oceans and air. Human creativity had sparked new ideas among the more logical Vathian. Together, they were stronger than apart. Commander Harper, Commander Lyra, Admiral Woods greeted them as they entered the council chamber. Though retired from active military service, she now led Earth's side of the Joint Council. "We're ready to begin." The chamber held 20 council Story members, 10 human and 10 Vathian. At the center was a crystal table shaped like Earth glowing with blue light. "Today we vote on the expansion proposal," Wood said once everyone was seated. "The creation of a joint fleet to explore beyond our solar system." Jack felt excitement ripple through his bond with Lyra. The expansion was their idea, born from shared dreams. Humans had always wanted to explore the stars. The Vathine had the technology to make it happen. Together they could go further than either had gone before. "The Mrazak are still out there," said Marin, the dark blue Vathine who had once doubted Jack's worth. "Our scouts report they are rebuilding their fleet. They will return." "All the more reason to expand our presence," Lyra countered. "Find new allies, new resources. Earth cannot be defended forever from a single system." General Porter, now Earth's defense minister, shook his head. "We're talking about sending our people into unknown danger. The Kethal pairs especially would be at risk." "And yet every pair has volunteered," Jack pointed out. There were now 50 Kethal bonds between humans and Vathine, each stronger than the last as they learned more about the process. "We aren't afraid." The debate continued for hours. Jack and Lyra mostly listened, adding their thoughts when needed. Through their bond, they shared observations, noting which council members were wavering, which were firm in their positions. Finally, Woods called for the vote. "All in favor of the joint expansion fleet, raise your hands." 12 hands went up. 7 human, 5 Vathine. A majority, but barely. "The proposal passes," Woods announced. "The fleet will begin formation next month." After the meeting, Jack and Lyra walked in the embassy gardens. Crystal plants grew alongside earth flowers, creating a strange but beautiful mix. 12 votes, Jack said. Not exactly overwhelming support. "It's enough," Lyra replied, "and support will grow when the fleet brings back new discoveries, new friends." Jack wasn't so sure. The division within the council worried him. If humans and Vathine couldn't fully trust each other even after fighting side by side, what hope did they have of making new allies among the stars? Lyra sensed his doubt. "The Kethal bonds are still new to both our peoples," she reminded him. "Change takes time." "We may not have much time," Jack said. "If the Mrazak are rebuilding—" He stopped as pain shot through his head. A vision flashed. In his mind, black ships emerging from a swirling cloud in space. Beside him, Lyra gasped, seeing the same thing. "The deep space monitors," she said. "They've detected something." They ran back to the embassy command center. The crystal screens showed a disturbance at the edge of the solar system near Pluto. A swirling vortex had appeared there, like a hole torn in space itself. "What is it?" Jack asked the Vathine operator. "Unknown," the operator replied. "But energy. Readings suggest a portal of some kind." As they watched, ships began to emerge from the vortex. Not the black knife shapes of the Mrazak, but something new. Massive spheres that glowed with green light. "That's not Mrazak technology," Lyra said, her voice tight. "I've never seen ships like those before." Admiral Woods arrived minutes later, followed by other council members. They all stared at the screens as more sphere ships appeared. "Are they hostile?" Woods asked. No one knew. The new ships weren't approaching Earth yet. They hovered near the portal, more and more of them appearing each minute. "We should send a message," Jack suggested. "Let them know Earth is protected." Woods nodded. "Prepare a standard greeting in all known languages." Before they could send anything, one of the sphere ships fired a beam of green energy, not at Earth but at the portal itself. The vortex grew larger, its edges stabilizing. "They're not attacking," Lyra realized. "They're building something." Over the next hours, more sphere ships arrived. Some fired green beams at the portal, making it larger and more stable. Others moved to form a pattern around it, like guards. Finally, a different kind of ship emerged. This one was shaped like a star, with 5 points extending from a central core. It was smaller than the sphere ships, but seemed to command them, as they moved aside to let it pass. "They're sending a signal," the communications officer announced. "It's directed at Earth." A voice filled the command center, speaking a language no one recognized. It rose and fell like music, with clicks and whistles mixed in. "Run it through the universal translator," Woods ordered. The computer worked for several minutes before producing a rough translation. "Greetings, bonded ones. We are the Solari. We come because we sensed the joining of different minds, different species. This is rare and precious in our galaxy. We wish to speak with those who have created such bonds. Everyone looked at Jack and Lyra. They came because of the Kethal bonds? Jack asked, not quite believing it. Lyra's silver eyes were wide. They sensed us across space? How is that possible? Woods looked grim. More importantly, are they friendly? This could be a trick. I don't think so, Jack said slowly. If they wanted to attack, why announce themselves? Why build a stable portal instead of just coming through with weapons ready? We should meet them, Lyra decided. Jack and I will go. Absolutely not, General Porter said immediately. We know nothing about these Solari. It's too dangerous. They asked specifically for the bonded ones, Jack pointed out, and Lyra and I are the strongest pair. If anyone should go, it's us. The argument went back and forth for hours while the Solari ships waited patiently near Pluto. In the end, it was decided that Jack and Lyra would go, but not alone. 3 other Kethal pairs would accompany them, along with a full military escort. 2 days later, a joint Earth-Vathine ship approached the Solari fleet. Jack and Lyra stood on the bridge watching the strange sphere ships grow larger in the view screen. I'm nervous, Jack admitted through their bond. As am I, Lyra replied. But also excited. A new species, one that understands the value of joined minds. The star-shaped ship moved to meet them halfway. It was beautiful up close, its 5 points glowing with shifting patterns of green and gold light. They're requesting permission to dock, the captain reported. Jack nodded. Granted. The airlocks connected with a soft thud. Jack and Lyra waited as the pressure equalized. Then the doors slid open. The being that floated through was unlike anything Jack had imagined. It had no solid form, instead appearing as a cloud of golden light shaped roughly like a human, but with 5 arms instead of 2. Within the cloud, small points of brighter light moved like stars in a galaxy.